So gang member to Army Ranger to entrepreneur, and Angel Cortes is in studio.
What a success story, huh?
We'll
But
see.
first, American Shooters is the newest gun shop in San Diego and Gun Owners Radio's newest show sponsor. American Shooters is having their grand opening on Wednesday, January 15th at 1464 Graves Avenue, just off the Bradley
Exit.
Well, I got my face trapped in my headphones.
You all right, Dave?
I'm doing fine.
Happy New Year.
And if you're looking for a great gun shop for any of your firearm needs, go visit American Shooters. Tell Ernie you heard it right here on Gun Owners Radio. They have a great selection of new and used and consigned firearms. Put it in your calendar right now, January 15th, for the grand opening celebration at American Shooters, 1464 Graves Avenue, off the Bradley exit in El Cajon.
So American Shooters, real quick. American Shooters is over by the Greek Chicken Place off of 67. It's really, I got to tell you, they pretty much, they were not open for the last like 2 years. So they missed the whole surge and the COVID thing. Go check out their selection. If you are any kind of collector, if you're looking for guns, if you're looking for ammo, go check out their selection. Awesome job.
How about some chicken?
And definitely pick me up some. I actually like the Euro. I like the Euro better than their chicken, but
Really?
you know, to each their own. Angel Cortes, how are you, man?
Good, sir. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So I'm pretty fascinated by your story. Let's go chronologically. So what is it? So you were a gang member. You were
Yes.
a legit, no stuff gang member.
Card carrying.
Card carrying gang member.
Yes, sir.
What is that? What does that mean?
Well, wait a minute. Does he look like a gang member to you?
I don't know. What does a gang member look like? I don't
Well,
even know.
he doesn't look like this guy.
I'm a,
This guy looks like one of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet.
I think so. I'm a pudgy white guy who lives in the suburbs.
You look.
I
like
don't
a,
know.
You look like a gang member.
Well, I don't know what gang that would be. It would be a pretty lazy gang.
It'd be
So what does that mean
Denny's.
to be a
Denny's
gang member?
boys, yeah.
Well, I was part of a local gang, and we did everything. We sold guns, drugs, various crimes, and depending on the level that you were at, you had your own crew within the gang, and obviously you're just trying to not get caught. And some guys are getting caught; they're doing prison time, or they're getting lost in drugs, or they're getting killed.
How old were you when you became a gang member?
14.
You're 14. Now, is there like is it like the movies? I mean, how do you become a gang member?
Well, I became a gang member because I grew. When you're young, you're just a kid, so they ignore you for the most part. But then I became an age where I wasn't invisible to them. Like they could see me. They're like, hey, this guy's about to. What gang are you part of? And at the time, I was just a skater. I just hung out with a bunch of skaters, and one day, one of them tried to steal our skateboard. And not mine, but it was my friend's skateboarder. And I remember I wanted to do something about it, but I couldn't because, they outnumbered us and I knew who they were and we were just skaters. But I realized I had to make a decision. I was either going to get punked by these guys from that day on, or I was going to stand up for myself. And I just wanted to stand up for myself. I didn't have I didn't want to be a gang member. This particular gang from my school would just do stuff like that. And I would see them pick on people all the time, steal their stuff, bully them. And I just wanted to stand up for myself. And I met some guys who are like, hey, we don't like those guys. And I was like, hey, I don't like them either. And they're like, you hang out with us. And little by little, they groom you to like, hey, man, maybe don't dress like that. Or, hey, you want to do this, you want to do that. And next thing you know, they're like, hey, man, so you've been hanging out with us. You want to get jumped in, and at that point, you're already engulfed in all of it. So you're like, yeah.
What does it mean to get jumped in?
I had about 5 or 6 guys. Basically, you just have to fight them, and you get jumped in because, I mean, it's 5, 6 guys. So you just.
Why do they all do that? It seems like every gang, there's the same initiation. Like, is there a?
Yeah, actually it varies because some of them, they make you do a crime, like a serious crime first or something like that. I don't know where it started, but it kind of just became a thing where, maybe because they want to see if you're tough or something. I don't know.
Okay, so you get jumped in, and then like, how does it escalate? Like, it sounds like, hey, I just want to be a part of something. I wanted to outnumber these guys that are picking on me. How does that escalate to drugs and guns and?
Well, I grew up poor, and when you are from a low income community, there's certain things in there, and that's crime and drugs. So it's already around you. So it's not like something that is foreign and you don't see or anything like that.
So the idea of somebody robbing a store or carrying an illegal gun or doing drugs, that wasn't really foreign to you. That was fairly common.
Yeah, because I remember like in our apartment complex, if I wanted to do laundry, my mom would be like, "Hey, go put in the clothes," and I would go put in clothes, and I would walk by certain apartments, and you can see the gang members hanging out, drunk and doing drugs and
that wasn't weird. It wasn't like, oh my God, this is scary.
Yeah, no, that was just normal. That there's kids playing and then there's gang members in the corner.
Were you ever, okay, so you get jumped in and things start to escalate. Now you're a part of, I'm sure that now you have responsibilities. You have you have to do what certain people tell you to do. There's certain things that are happening that you have to be a part of. Was there ever a time where you're just like, man, this is getting out of control? This isn't really what I wanted. Were you scared and
no, because
intimidated or?
Because I was angry at the time. I didn't really understand why, but I was angry because of my childhood. I had a very abusive childhood. My dad wasn't around. Obviously, then you have testosterone because you're a teenager going through puberty. So you have all this stuff going on. Then the peer pressure. But I knew I would look around and when I would hang out with them and some of these guys, I would just look at them and be like, dude, you and I are not the same. Like I'm just here for protection. I'm here because I want to be part of something, obviously, but I didn't know that I wanted to be part of something. It was just the lack of probably family back at home.
Yeah.
And I was selling drugs, and while some of the guys were selling drugs and buying chains and stuff like that, I was buying food for my brother and my sister because we didn't have anything. And I'm not trying to justify it, but where in my situation and what I was dealt and what was in front of my face, that was the best option for me to do that stuff.
I'm guessing, I don't know, I'm guessing it didn't go through your head like, hey, what I'm doing is wrong. Like this is bad, I'm doing something wrong. It probably felt more like survival.
It felt, 100%. It was more survival than anything. And then, at a certain point, I knew, I was like, there's no future to it. Like you see it, guys that I used to hang out with, next thing you know, one day they're dead because, they got shot up.
Somebody, so like a friend of yours. So you're 14, 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
And somebody that you were hanging out with last week, in the same gang, and this week they're dead.
Yeah.
Like do you remember the first time?
Yeah. I remember his nickname was Coco, and he was just a little bit older than me. He was like 17 or 18, and when you're that young, it's
right.
a lot older.
Huge. Yeah.
It's huge. So I remember, and social media wasn't what it was back then. This is 2005, 2004.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember hanging out. We're hanging in front of the apartments, and one of the guys comes around the corner, and he looks kind of sad, and he's like, "Did you hear about Coco?" And I'm like, "No. What are you talking about?" They're like, "He's dead." Like, what do you mean he's dead? I was just hanging out with him like 2 days ago. We were right here, just hanging around, just joking around. They're like, "Yeah, he got shot up. He went to a rival's neighborhood, went looking for trouble, and he found it, and he got shot up."
Do you remember ever being scared? Do you ever remember like you were doing something or involved, or maybe it was a confrontation, and you're like, "Oh my God, I'm terrified right now"?
Well, yeah, there've been some moments where I realized this is not what I wanted. I just wanted not to be messed with. I wanted to stand up for myself, but I'm surrounded by guys who I don't consider friends. I don't, but I'm now so in there. It feels almost impossible to get out.
Wow.
But as I got older, I kind of gained a reputation, and I had my own crew within the gang. So
what was your reputation?
I was a very violent individual. I led by example. I knew, and the older guys knew. They knew how to manipulate it. And these guys are master manipulators, and they saw that I was hungry, as in to like prove myself, to be part of something. So I was the first to fight. I was the first to do this and that. And then one day, I got stabbed, and then I realized that this wasn't about fistfights anymore. This is serious. And I remember I was 15, and I went to the older guys. I was like, hey, I want to buy a gun. I want to buy a bulletproof vest. And they just saw like their golden ticket. Like, this is going to be our guy. But
so you had a crew. What exactly? I mean, I don't know what you can or want to talk about, but
I'll talk about everything and anything. We sold drugs. We sold everything.
How did you know how to do? Like, how do you know? You know what I mean? Like, how did you know how to sell drugs?
The older guys. Well, when I got in, I just wanted backup, right? I got it. I see them, doing drugs, and then on the side, some of them are selling. People are coming to them. They're customers, and they have money, and I'm like, hey man, I want some of that. I don't want it because I want to buy rims and gold chains. It's because I go home and there's no dinner.
Right.
I look at my brother and my sister. We got hand-me-downs. There's nothing. Our parents are abusive, and nobody told me like, hey, they're your responsibility. I just took it on.
So then, when you were running your own crew, did you kind of do it your way? Like, hey, this is how I'm going to do it. This is how. Like, what was different the way that you did things than
we were structured, and if we were going to do something dumb, we were going to, the way I like to say, if you're going to do something dumb, be smart about it. And none of us ever, all of us within the crew probably should have got multiple years, if not life, for a lot of the stuff that we did.
Did you ever get arrested?
Yeah, but like more like stopped, but never anything. And I mean, one of the biggest things is like marijuana. A lot of people don't know, like, the kids growing up now, they don't see it as a big deal. But back then, you were getting the same years for weed than you were doing for coke. So when we were selling,
it's crazy.
We knew guys who got like 10 years, 15 years for weed, and we know, like, hey man, we can go do some serious time.
Now you can go to a dispensary.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I wish I could sleep better. And they give you. You would have gotten 10 years to whatever.
But he still doesn't look like a gang.
So how did you? Well, that's where we're headed.
You didn't have glasses, right? You didn't have glasses.
I didn't have glasses.
Okay. How did you get out?
Let's take a break. We'll find out when we get back.
Okay.
But I know you're dying.
Yeah, I am.
We're gonna have to hook you up. You need to be a gang member.
Honestly,
at least for a day.
I think this is.
Can you hook him up, Angel?
Not me.
All right, Joe.
No.
Okay, just checking.
The only gang I'd be involved with would be Green. Gang Green. Okay.
Oh my Lord. All right, folks, you're listening to Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
Hey, we're real proud to have the National Concealed Carry Association as a 10-ring partner. NCCA exists to serve the Second Amendment community by providing a nationwide network of 2A advocates. They'd offer elite self-defense and concealed carry training from the nation's top instructors and provide rock-bottom prices at the best selection of gear and accessories. Join them today. Members get great prices and free shipping. You can learn a whole lot more about them at National Concealed Carry Association.com.
Okay, we're talking to Angel Cortes, former gang member, former Army Ranger, and current cool guy.
A pool guy?
Not pool guy. Well, I don't know. Maybe. No, he's not a pool guy. Cool guy. Okay, so we were talking about your experience. You went through, you were in a gang as a kid. You kind of moved up through the ranks, and then what got you out?
So, I was deep. I was deep in it, but I knew there's no future in this. There just isn't. And sooner or later,
you knew there was no future because you're watching your friends die.
Yeah,
you're watching
die.
Your friends go to jail.
And I had to make a decision. I had to admit not only to myself within, but outside, within the crew that I had in the gang. That's like, hey man, I was wrong. Mm-hmm. The path that we are on is wrong. There's no future, and we need to get out.
But you can't walk. You can't walk away from this, can you?
You can and you can't. I got lucky because, like I said, I had a crew within there, and at the time, at that specific time, about 95% of all violent crimes committed by that gang were from my crew, and then I was spearheading all of that stuff. So
when you quit, they all quit?
Not just that, but it was easy because I was the muscle. I mean, the crew was the muscle. So when I told them, like, hey man, I'm out and they're out.
Oh, you told them that
Yeah.
they were out.
Yeah. I gathered the guys at my friend's house, and I was like, hey man, we need to get out. And some of them were like, they had already seen the path that we were going, and they, knew that I was different. They were different from all the other gang members that were part of the gang. And but some of them did question me. They're like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah." And then it took them, a couple of weeks to come around, and then they're like, "Yeah, dude, we're out."
Were you afraid? Were you like, I'm afraid that I just told all these guys that we're leaving. I'm afraid these guys are going to go tell somebody else, and then I'm going to get attacked.
Yes. But again, at the time, I mean, I already had guns. I had a bulletproof vest. I was.
And they were afraid of you.
I was seasoned, so I wasn't the biggest gangster. Of course, I got jumped and I got beat up and all this and that. But I mean, I won more, than I lost. So I told them, like, hey man, and if you want, and I told my crew, I was like, hey, anyone who doesn't want to let us be, we're going to end it. There's no fights back and forth. It's all or nothing. So because it's going to be all or nothing. So when I told the gang, I was like, hey, I'm out and they're out too. And if you're going to come after us, exactly what's going to happen to you.
Wow.
And what I found interesting was that the guys that I thought would give us the toughest time were like, you know what, man, go do your thing, dude.
Wow.
And the ones who I thought would understand, they'd be like, call me all types of names and say that they're going to, do this and do that. But I mean, they never did. And then some of the gangs that we had problems with were like, okay, but some of them wouldn't let it be, and they got heated, and we did what we had to do, and I mean, for the most part, we're all okay.
So what was your plan? You're like, okay, we're going to stop doing this.
Yeah.
Were you like, hey, I'm going to graduate high school and join the Army, or
Yeah.
what was your plan?
No, so
Were you going to school during all this?
I was. So through all this, we're some of us are failing classes or quitting school. Before we actually even got out, like the day that I said, hey, we're out, we were already doing the transition. I made everybody slowly start getting real jobs, go back to school, take it serious, and or finish continuation school. And I had a full-time job, and trying to get my GED, because at that point I had gotten kicked out of high school. So they're like, hey, you're going to continuation school, and then I got kicked out of that. So I was already on the path. One other guy wanted to join the Marine Corps. I wanted to join the Army. And
so why did you pick the Army, number one? And then how, I don't know. I didn't serve, but doesn't the military say, hey, you ever committed a crime before? I mean, how did you get into why did you pick the Army, and how did you get into the Army with that path?
Because he's smart.
So I picked the Army because
You're smart.
yes, growing up, I would, like most kids, I like Batman and Superman. But when I would watch war movies, I knew that Batman and Superman were fake, and the individuals in these documentaries or movies were real, and I wanted to be like them. I appreciated that they took care of themselves, that they showed a level of love that is obviously so high that they're willing to put their lives on the line.
So kind of what you were looking for in a gang.
Yes, 100%. And
But you never got incarcerated or put in jail.
Nope.
That's why the military was able to allow you to join.
Yes.
If you'd had a hardcore record, it would have been a prayer.
That for the most part that's true. But when the military wants guys, they'll get their numbers. Because I had 2 arrests, one with a deadly weapon and one with guns. I mean, with drugs. So you need a waiver, and so they'll give you waivers during the specific times. Like I'm pretty sure during the invasion, if you had whatever you had, they were signing off because I needed somebody to sign off.
Because what was going on in Afghan and Iraq.
Yeah, now right now,
Afghanistan and Iraq.
Now right now I'm not sure if they're that lenient.
Okay, so you go in. How old were you when you enlisted?
17.
You were 17.
Yeah.
Wow. So you had to get your parents' permission or
Yeah,
whatever.
I did. But at that point, I didn't live with my parents.
You know what's crazy? You were 17, but you were probably 40.
47.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You were probably far more. You'd have more life experience. You'd had more serious life experience than most 17-year-olds.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So I mean, when we like, hey, you're like, oh my gosh, you're 17, you joined the Army. You just got out of an Army, Now you're joining
Yeah.
the U.S. Army.
How fast did you move up in rank in the military? Because they must have seen you had leadership skills.
Yeah. I mean, before I was old enough to even buy a beer, I was leading men in war. I was a sergeant before I turned 21.
Right, that's what I thought.
Oh, okay. So you go to is it basic training?
Yeah.
You go to basic training. You got some guy yelling at in your face. You were just a hardened gang member who had a crew, and now you got some 25-year-old drill instructor who's yelling in your face. What was that like?
I loved every moment of it because I respected those men. I looked up to them. I wanted to be them. So I didn't have any issue. When I did have an issue was where guys in basic training would try to yell at you, and the way I saw it was like, dude, you're nobody. I'm not sure why you're yelling at me.
You don't want to go there.
Yeah.
Wow. So you had a fantastic career in the Army for 8 years. You were in the Army for 8 years?
Yeah. I was in for 8 years. I made it into special operations. I was fortunate enough to be part of 1st Ranger Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment. And I spent some time.
Why did you do that?
Because when I first joined, I didn't know the difference. I didn't know there was a selection process for these special operation units. I thought you just went in and they just put you there. I didn't know anything. So once I found out, there was a selection process and they want you get the best of the best training and equipment and I wanted it. So I trained up. I made it.
You wanted to be the best.
Yeah, and not just that, but at the time I didn't have any accomplishments underneath my belt, so it was kind of hard to believe in myself because these selection process, yes, you have to meet the physical requirements, but more than anything, it's mental.
Wow.
And you have to believe in yourself. And I was fortunate enough to have a mentor in the military. His name's Hugo Vanderwall. And he helped me, believe in myself, and he taught me a lot and prepared me physically. And so when I went, I passed.
Who is this guy? He was an older.
Yeah, he was a sergeant. And then we say older, but like
Yeah, he was like 25.
Yeah, he's like 25, so not that much,
So why did this guy take a shine to you?
I ask him that all the time, and he's my best friend. He's one of my best friends. He's the highest mentor that I have. I have multiple mentors, but he's right there on the top. And he is the top. And I asked him one day, I'm like, what did you look in me, and what did you see in me? And he said, you look like you wanted to learn, and you had a drive, but you just needed direction. You needed a guidance. And him being at the time a sergeant, that's his job. So he just put all this time and energy in me, and I owe him a lot.
So what did you do as a ranger?
So
what's your job? What are the actual activities?
I was a demolition specialist. So I've blown up anything from vehicles, weapons, walls, doors, bombs, or also known as IEDs that the Taliban or Al Qaeda put in the roads, walls for us.
Why did you pick that?
Well, because one of my friends growing up had cable, so I would go to his house and I would watch the Discovery Channel and National Geographic Channel, and I would always see all the specials on the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I saw these things called IEDs that were killing soldiers, so I wanted to do something about it. And that's how I got there.
Were you particularly patriotic? It sounds like you were kind of a patriotic guy.
I'm actually the first one in my family to be born here. I didn't think about the label as patriotic, but yes, I was.
You were proud to be an American.
I was proud to be here because growing up, my mom and my dad, when they were around, when they weren't, abusing us, they would tell us about stuff. And most of my grandparents really raised us. They would tell us about what life was in Mexico and stuff like that. And as a young kid, I remember just being like, man, that's not my reality here. Even though I have it bad here, that's not what
I see.
They went through, and I'm really lucky. And one of the biggest things also is that, my mom got on food stamps. So I was born and raised, on food stamps. So another big reason why I joined it was because the way I saw it was, this country took care of my brother and sister and I, providing us food for years. And then so when 9/11 happened, I wasn't old enough, but as soon as I was old enough, I saw it as my opportunity to give back to the country that took care of us.
That seems like an unusual attitude to have towards your environment. If you grew up poor, in a gang, food stamps, and you had pride and were thankful. We're going to take you into the next segment because we got a lot to talk about.
The military did it all.
So
It wasn't for the military, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
But you went into. Let's talk about it more. Let's keep talking about it.
All right, folks. Michael's getting all excited over here.
Yeah,
You going
this
to
is
join
very
up?
interesting.
You going to join up tomorrow?
No.
Come on, you need to join. All right. Well, hey, we live in a state where your self-defense rights are under attack. Let us be your voice to help defend and restore the Second Amendment. Help spread the word about the fight. There's 2 easy things you can do. 1, like and subscribe to the show on YouTube and your favorite podcasts. 2, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps boost the show and puts it in front of a whole lot of people.
All right, so we're talking to Angel, and we were just talking about your upbringing and how you, like I said, you didn't really have a label for it. You didn't look at yourself as being patriotic, but that's really, you had pride in your country, and you said you were thankful for everything, and you'd heard stories about where your grandparents grew up in Mexico and how, hey, I have it so much better here in America. Even though you grew up very poor, didn't always know where your next meal was coming from, joined a gang, a lot of violence, always looking over your shoulder, got stabbed, had a really rough upbringing. I don't know if that sounds like an unusual response to that environment. I don't know if everybody in your environment has pride in the United States. Was your attitude towards the U.S. unusual, or what do you think?
I think no, I'm not the only story like this. There's a lot of them, and now that on social media, I've gotten traction and a bunch of messages, daily about guys who are now EMTs or they're cops or they're something or they're in the military. But this is surprising to some people or maybe to a lot, but within those gangs, they respect the military, because almost any one of them has a cousin or a brother or an uncle or something that's in the military. And I understand that's, might be strange and, counterproductive within that type of thinking mentality. But I mean, a lot of the people in there like the military.
Wow. Okay, so you go through basic training. You go through, I think they call it A school. Is that what they call it?
Well, AIT, and then you have airborne school, and then the selection process to become a ranger.
And you became a ranger.
Yep.
How hard was that?
It was hard. I mean, we started with like 200 something, people, and I think we only graduated like 90, 95.
Wow.
And I mean,
And did you go right? Were you with a different unit first, and then you go?
Yeah, I was. I was in the regular Army first, and then like I was saying, my mentor believed in me when I told him like, hey man, I want to join special operations, and he's like, you can do it. And for the listeners, I mean, I'm not a big guy. I'm 5'6", and when I went through the selection process, I was only 130 pounds. So I'm going through the selection process with guys who look like Captain America, who look like Thor, but they're quitting, and it took me a while to realize, all the stuff that people were telling me, like Hugo, like, hey man, you got to believe in yourself, and the pain it's not gonna be there forever. And embrace the suck. Just go through it one day at a time, and you can do it. And next thing you know, in graduation, I'm there.
So the first time you saw combat, or the first time you were in a war zone, were you in the regular Army, or were you a ranger?
No, I was in the regular Army, and then my first part when I got to be part of the special operations community was in Afghanistan, and that for me was the most intense fighting. Because we got attached to a special forces group from their group, so we got attached to that team, and we were in the eastern part of Afghanistan, which is the mountains, and I mean, I wanted, to be tested. I wanted, to do the whole thing, to do the whole war thing. And at the time, I didn't understand that. And some of the seasoned guys were like, this thing that you want, you don't want. And then I went through it, and then I realized what it was. Because
were you infantry?
I was.
No, you were bomb. You're bomb specialist.
So, what I didn't consider, really think, was that, everything else that's going to happen, like your friends dying, your friends getting hurt, you know, there's a price to pay for war. You know, I have everything, you know, but I've lost a lot of friends. A lot of friends got hurt. A lot of friends didn't come back like how, you know, they came back a fraction of themselves. I mean, me, for the most part, I got lucky. I'm not sure if it's the universe, dumb luck, or God, but.
So the first time that you went into a war zone, and the first time maybe you went into combat in a war zone, was it familiar? Did you feel like you had maybe a insight that other people didn't?
In a way, yes, but in also a way, no, because like, I mean, no one's shooting rockets at you in you know,
in Orange County.
In Orange County or in Southern California, you know, no one's putting bombs on the roads for you. So that was different. That's where I was shocked when they were shooting at us. I remember being like, okay, well, I kind of did a little something, you know, in the neighborhoods, but this is different. This is the big leagues, you know. And I remember the first firefight, you know, and after that, and I held myself, you know, I held my own. And it made me proud that when seasoned guys who'd been in special operations for like 10, 12 years would be like, all right, this is the mission plan, so-and-so. You go here, you go there. Cortes is with me. And when they were like, hey, Cortes, you come with me, I was like, obviously I'm doing something good.
You made it. Yeah.
What was your biggest takeaway? Like, what did the military, 8 years in the military, why'd you get out first?
I got out and it kind of by surprise. You have your ETS date. Basically, when your contract ends, I was so in you know, deep into being a ranger that one day they call me. They're like, hey man, you know, you're 9 months out from your ETS date, and I was like, what? They're like, I was just so focused on being the best that I could be at that I didn't even consider like, hey, your contract's about to be out. It's about to be up, and people were telling me, hey man, you look like a lifer. You're a lifer. But at the time, I didn't like the restraints and restrictions that they were giving us. They were basically making us fight with one hand, you know, one arm behind our back. A bunch of the seasoned guys were getting out, and I was in a point where, you know, for almost a decade, my wife would follow me everywhere, never told me no on anything. She was super supportive.
You were married.
Yeah.
Coming out of a gang, 17, joined the Army, and you were married.
Yeah, 2 kids, and I'd miss a lot, like the birth of my kids. I wasn't there for, and I mean, yes, because I was, you know, at war, but they don't know that. They just know, hey, Dad's not here. So, you know, I asked her, what do you know, can I re-up or should I get out? And she's like, what do you want to do? And I thought about it for about a week or two, and I was like, you know what, let's get out. And then I got out to go to school to become a registered dietitian, because when I was actually still an active duty special operations guy, I was also competing in fighting in Muay Thai and kickboxing. Because we have such a high budget and have all the cool guy gear, but not just the gear, but we have like multi-million-dollar gym facilities for ourselves in our private compound, and we have physical trainers, athletic trainers, and registered dietitians. So you're always competing in that environment. And if you can be just a little bit faster, it's huge in there, because we're all competing, whether we acknowledge it or not. We know we're competing. You just go into the gym in the morning, and there's some guy, you know, riding the bike, and he starts going faster, and then you go faster, and then you're competing. So this is the environment that we're in, you know. So when I saw the sign on the door that said registered dietitian, I remember thinking, like, I don't know what that is, but it's got the word diet in it. Maybe it'll help me. And she knew how to talk to us, because she said, what would you change in your diet if I can make you 5 to 10% faster and stronger? and in that environment, that's everything. It's like, yeah, I want to be faster and stronger. So she told me how to change my diet, and it helped me so much. It helped me, and I actually had a fight coming up, and helped me, you know, compete and train. So I won that fight. I believed in her. So when I got out, I started going to school to become a registered dietitian. I'm actually 2 classes away from earning my bachelor's.
Wow. And
you mean no more mess hall food?
Yeah, no
what?
more.
How could you walk away? You would love it, dude. They got spaghetti.
I do like spaghetti.
Yeah, I know. Denny's spaghetti.
Denny's spaghetti. It's really good. If you haven't been to Denny's lately, try their spaghetti.
They'll just shoot your whole program under the nose.
So what else are you doing? How did we come into contact with you?
So I am I am the owner of OG Pumpkin, which is a company that I actually now sponsor UFC fighters and skaters. It started off as a clothing company and sticker company because when I got out, I had lost my purpose and I had lost my brotherhood, and I didn't know that at the time. So I started hosting UFC fights at my house and inviting veterans from my gym and school. And after 3 years of doing this, I was about to have my third child, and my wife's like, "Hey, we got to stop doing these events because we're going negative into our bank account, or we're barely making rent. We have a third kid coming, and I know what these events mean to you and the guys, but we just can't do it anymore." And I knew she was right, but I wanted to do something about it. So one day I was watching The Office with my wife, and my 5-year-old son drew a pumpkin, and he's like, "This is for you," and I was like, "This is going to be my logo for my company."
That's cool.
Because I have a Halloween. I like Halloween, like that type of thing. If you've ever seen in my combat footage or combat pictures, I have skeleton gloves or a skeleton bandana. I like Halloween. So I started making T-shirts and stickers off of that. And I didn't know. I just wanted to cover the food and the UFC pay-per-view that I was getting. And then now it's huge.
What's your website? How do people find your stuff?
On Instagram, it's the OG Pumpkin. The website, you can Google OG Pumpkin or Ranger Cortes for more interviews or anything like that. And now I host events. Our biggest one was last year. We had 400 people show up. We turned a warehouse into a skate park, and we had CJ from the Ramones come and play. We had law enforcement and veterans vendors. And I co-hosted it with Thrash and Raid, who is a former special operations MARSOC guy, so from the Marine side. Yeah. And we're just trying to
That's awesome.
Bring communities together.
I wish we had 5 more segments, man.
No.
We're gonna really
we got to bring him back and see how things are going.
I think we're gonna do a Magnum episode.
I think so too.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Gosh, hate to go now, but hey, subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, YouTube, whatever your favorite flavor is, and please support our great sponsors: San Diego County Gun Owners, U.S. Law Shield, Dillon Law Group, PRMI Mortgage, Scott Vincent Coldwell Banker, Royal Realty, Sage Street Web Development, National Concealed Carry, and our partners having the new partner with American Shooters. Thanks to Joe Germisi, Michael Schwartz, and Brendan, the Wild Man Thomas. Folks, this is Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer!
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.